Carter.
Scotty B going to work in the paint.
Eastern Conference Final. New NBA champion. And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here, back with the Raptors Nation podcast. Hope you're all doing well on this Thursday, April 4th. The Toronto Raptors, they've been losing a ton of games, and they are closing in on making franchise history for the worst reason, as the Raptors are now 2 losses shy from tying their franchise worst 17-game losing streak, 3 more losses away from breaking it. In today's show, I want to take a look at if the Raptors are going to break that losing streak. We're going to be taking a look at Vince Carter officially being inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is just absolutely unreal for Carter. And obviously the Raptors organization, that's where Carter made a name for himself. And then we're going to be talking about an unlikely 50-point game. Malachi Flynn, former Raptor, he scored 50 points. Yes, I was in disbelief too when I first saw it, but it happened. Malachi, 50-point game against the Atlanta Hawks. Before we dive right into it, guys, do me a solid, hit a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more over here on the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. And you can check out all of our articles over at raptorsnation.com. We're first going to talk about the Raptors and whether or not they're going to break this all-time losing streak. I mean, it's been rough watching these games. Now, listen, I'm all for tanking. I'm all for trying to give yourself the best odds when it comes to keeping that 2024 first-round pick. And really, the Raptors have all but clinched the 6th worst record because not only did they lose horribly, they also saw the Memphis Grizzlies upset the Bucks. So the Raptors now have a 3-game lead over the Grizzlies in the reverse standings for that 6th worst record. So the Raptors able to obtain that 6th worst record, it would give them a 46% chance of keeping their 2024 first-round pick. But again, it's only 46%. When you look at this thing, it is getting ugly for the Toronto Raptors because they're not only losing these games, these are ugly losses, guys. I mean, they're coming off their franchise worst 48-point loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, they suited up 8 guys. You were better off having me and you out there. Like, these guys were thin, and it did not make for good basketball. And the Raptors, they haven't shown you anything during this losing streak that at least makes you feel good about, like, some of the guys who could be potentially battling for end of rotation minutes. Like, you know, the Raptors need a guy on their team to have a Malachi Flynn game, a Malachi Flynn moment where they have an unsung hero drop, 30, 40 points. So at least you have something to look forward to and something where you can look at and say, okay, that's something we could build on. But really, outside of Grady Dick, who has been the silver lining here of, getting minutes, looking better in the offense, there hasn't been much in terms of the developmental pieces with this team. And I'm not talking about the core pieces because we know how good they can be. Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Malin quickly. Those players have missed time. Barnes with injury, quickly, and Barrett due to personal reasons. I'm talking about the other players, guys who are trying to earn themselves an opportunity on this team going forward. I haven't really seen a whole lot there. Again, other than Grady Dick, it's been nice to see him gain confidence and grow his game. There hasn't been a whole lot of noteworthy play. Like, I'm not talking about this team winning games, but if they're going to get their butts kicked, you want to see something that you can say, okay, there's a positive. There hasn't been positives during this losing streak. They're getting beaten badly, suffering some of their worst losses in franchise history. And then also, I call this potentially the worst Raptor season ever. It sucks to know that the Raptors could be doing everything right in terms of losing these games, but they still don't have control of their first-round pick. So imagine after all this, if the Raptors miss out on their first-round pick, well, you could say, well, then Luca, they have their pick in a much better 2025 NBA draft. But I truly believe now is when the Raptors want their pick. They're at their worst right now. They're at their lowest point. You want a top 6 talent to add to the young core going into next season. I think it's going to really set this team back if they are unable to keep their pick after this season that they've had. arguably one of the worst Raptors seasons in their franchise history. Between, you know, the losses, the injuries, the fact that they don't have control of their pick, it's been tough. So hopefully the ping pong balls are on the Raptors side. They're going to have a 46% chance. They're not going to catch the Blazers. The Blazers have a 3-game cushion on the Raptors. Unless the Blazers randomly go on a winning streak here, they're not going to get the 5th worst record. So Raptors are just going to have to hope that those ping pong balls go their way and they have the 6th worst record and they're able to draft with a top 6 pick and add somebody who's going to help this team. But looking at the question now, are the Raptors going to make franchise history and surpass that 17-game losing streak? Well, their next 3 that they would have to lose in order to break it, to make it a franchise worst 18-game losing streak, they got the Bucks, Wizards, and Pacers. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks, this is a team that is coming off losses against the Hornets and the Grizzlies. So I'm going to be quick to say that the Bucks aren't going to lose to 3 bad teams back to back to back, but you never know with this team. They're at an all-time low right now with their morale. But the game's in Milwaukee. The Bucks are pissed off. They had a day rest, just like the Raptors. I don't see the Raptors beating the Bucks, especially if the Raptors continue to roll out the personnel that they have been. The game in which the Raptors have a chance to win, it is their last shot at a win for this season, guys. The Washington Wizards on Sunday. That game will be played at home in Toronto. The Wizards are bad. Raptors could arguably be worse at this point with how they've played. And it'll be interesting to see who's going to be favored in this matchup. Probably the Wizards, for as bad as the Raptors have been. But this is the game where the Raptors are going to have their best shot at winning another game this season. Because I know they got the Nets on April 10th, but if the Raptors don't beat the Wizards, they're losing out here, and they're extending this franchise worst losing streak. So that is when the Raptors need to put an end to this thing. If they somehow lose to the Wizards, it would match 17. And then, ironically, they take on the Pacers at home, and Pascal Siakam, former Raptor, and his new team, the Pacers, have a chance to hand the Raptors their franchise worst 18th consecutive loss. So it's going to be interesting. But like I said, if the Raptors do not beat the Wizards, they're losing out. I do not see the Raptors winning another game because, you know, I know the Nets are out of it, but that's going to be in Brooklyn. And then they have Miami. Those are going to be big games for Miami to win. And not to mention the Bucks game tomorrow and the Pacers game on next Tuesday are going to be big games for those teams battling for playoff positioning. So the Raptors' last chance at a win is Sunday. Do I think they're going to break their record and set a new one? I'm going to go out on a limb. And say the Raptors are going to beat the Wizards on Sunday. I think being at home is going to be the difference. We're probably going to see RJ and Emmanuel in that game. I think they're going to do enough to snap their losing streak there. Ironically, when they're both to tie their all-time worst losing streak. So that's my prediction. I think the Raptors are going to lose against the Bucks, but then I see them beating the Wizards and ending it there. But man, oh man, if they lose to the Wizards, this thing's going to the end, man. They're going to lose, what is it here? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So potentially the Raptors can end the season on a 21-game losing streak. That would not be good vibes going into next season at all. They got to end this losing streak because you do not want a 21-game losing streak going into next season and just have that floating over you going into the offseason. So they're going to have to beat the Wizards. That's their last real chance at a win. You can make the case for Brooklyn, but like I said, that one's in Brooklyn, a little bit more tough. I think they got to win on Sunday against the Wizards to end this thing. So we will see if the Raptors will do just that. But regardless, they have all but locked up the 6 worst records. So this historical tank job worked in a sense where the Raptors have put themselves in a position where they can keep their 2024 first round pick. But again, it's only going to be 46%. So there's a good chance this could be all for nothing. And that would be the worst case scenario, as I've said many, many times on this pod. All right, from doom, let's go to some positive news here. And that is Vince Carter, former Raptors superstar, has officially been inducted in the Hall of Fame. Well-deserved. Carter and Billups, who also played for the Raptors, even though it was for a short time, had been elected into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame for the class of 2024. And really, no-brainer for Vince Carter. No doubt about it, he was going to get in. Vince Carter, epic career, longest career in NBA history. He put the Raptors on the map. He made a name for himself with this Toronto Raptors team. The slam dunk contest got everybody talking and paying attention to the Raptors, led the Raptors to their first playoff appearance, led the Raptors to their first playoff series win, almost led them to another one, obviously. The heartbreaker against Philly, the missed buzzer beater shot that Kawhi then rectified many, many years later, did not fall for Carter. But nonetheless, I mean, he was the guy. People were rocking Vince Carter's jerseys. He was a huge name in pop culture. And really, you can say that Vince Carter saved the Toronto Raptors because the Memphis Grizzlies died out and they weren't doing good. They weren't winning games and they didn't stay in their market. Vince Carter single-handedly propelled the Raptors to relevancy. And he was the reason why people were looking north of the border at this basketball team in Canada. So Vince Carter, say what you want about him, say what you want about how it ended. I've forgiven him personally because Vince Carter arguably saved the Raptors franchise as a whole. And he single-handedly grew the game of basketball in this country because how many kids that then became prominent players in this league grew up watching the Raptors and Vince Carter. So many of the Canadian talent that you see now, a good majority of them definitely grew up watching Vince Carter, right? So Vince Carter, a big reason why the game has grown, a big reason why the Raptors are where they are at today in terms of the success they've had as a franchise. And, you know, although you wanted his tenure with the Raptors to end differently, unfortunately, it went the way that they did, but time heals all, as they say. And Vince Carter and the Raptors organization seem to be at a mutual respect for one another. And what's interesting is, remember, Vince Carter was on Run It Back TV. This was a couple months ago. And he said he would like to, you know, be remembered for his time as a Raptor. And Vince Carter, he was a journeyman to close out his career. He played for many, many teams, but he wants to be remembered as a Raptor. And it makes sense because that's where it all started for him. And he went on to say that. So it's interesting because then that's going to beg the question, should Vince Carter's jersey be the first one retired by this Raptors organization, that they have not retired a jersey to this point? My answer to that would be yes. I mean, retire Vince Carter's jersey. He's in the hall. He had an impact. He didn't win a championship with this team, but he had an impact that goes beyond the game, beyond the court. I think Vince Carter's jersey definitely deserves to be retired by this Raptors organization. So it's only going to be a matter of time until that happens. But Carter's saying that he wants to be remembered as a Raptor. He's welcoming of that. We'll see if the Raptors organization follows suit. There's obviously people saying it should be Kyle Lowry first. There's been other cases to be made of Kawhi, Siakam, Bosh. I think Vince Carter makes sense for the first jersey to be retired. With all due respect to Kyle Lowry, Kawhi, you could argue that he deserves a statue for helping the Raptors win a championship. It was Vince Carter's impact that goes beyond just the game. So Vince Carter, Hall of Fame, well-deserved, amazing to see. The reason why I got into watching basketball and now covering basketball was the fact that I was growing up on Vince Carter playing for the Raptors. Vince Carter got me into the game, and he got a lot of people into the game growing up in all parts of Canada. So Vince Carter, well deserved. And also Chauncey Billups as well. Billups played one season for the Raptors, it was less than like 50 games, but now he's the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. So technically 2 former Raptors getting in on the same day, which is pretty cool. All right, guys, we are going to end today's relatively quick show. We'll keep it brief here, but I got to end with this because this was random. I mean, this might be actually this is the most random 50-point game in NBA history. I'm dubbing it that because Malachi Flynn, of all players, who would have thought Malachi would have a random 50-burger? And he's actually the first player with the lowest points per game average to have a 50-point game. Like, this was a dude that couldn't get a single minute on the Raptors at times. Darko gave him his chance, and we saw a little bit of good things, but we saw a lot of bad things with Malachi. Then he gets traded to the Knicks, basically a bench warmer. Then he gets traded to the Detroit Pistons, a bad team, a rebuilding team, but a team in which he has a chance to have these type of moments. He came through, and I know it's just one game, but listen, shout out to Malachi. Well deserved, and I'm happy for the guy. This is a guy who has tried so hard throughout his career to prove himself, never really got a fair shot in its entirety in Toronto, if you look at it as a whole. So, for Malachi to have a 50-point game, it's pretty cool. And especially since, it didn't work out with he and the Raptors, Malachi showing that he's got what it takes if you give him a chance. And, he said it on Run It Back TV today. He was asked, does having a 50 ball in an NBA game, does that give you the kind of sticking it to the teams like Toronto and New York that had you? And Flynn basically replied saying, I would say, yeah, but more for me, just kind of showing myself that I can do some of those things. I don't think it's a fluke in any way. So it's most random 50-point game. Is he ever going to do it again? Likely not, but still, he earned that 50-point game. This is a very nice feat for Malachi, a very great achievement. And for him, something that he can now build on. And hopefully he finds himself in Detroit. Hopefully he's given more of an opportunity and he can truly thrive with this Pistons organization that is rebuilding, that is bad, that is going to give Malachi a true opportunity, especially if he can continue to contribute in positive ways and has many more good games to close out the season. So it was crazy to see Malachi. I had to double look. When I saw he score 50, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This has been quite the season for the Raptors. On the same night where the Raptors are getting obliterated by the T-Wolves and they suffer their worst loss in franchise history and suffer their 15th loss in a row, Malachi Flynn drops a 50-piece. Unbelievable. And really, I don't know what's going on, guys, but former Raptors are thriving elsewhere. That has been the theme as of late. Flynn with his 50-piece. Achua, for the most part, has had a very, very good tenure so far with the Knicks. Looks like he's found himself, giving the Knicks something that the Raptors had hoped that they had found with him. And then how about Delano Banton having some nice games with the Portland Trail Blazers? All former Raptors, all players who were on this Raptors roster last season. So it's crazy. It's like you're a Raptors role player, you leave the Raptors, and you go on to be a major, major contributor. It's like the Raptors need to catch a break in that regard now. It's what I was basically saying at the start of the show. The Raptors need a Delano Banton breakout game from a guy on their team. They need a Malachi Flynn moment from a guy on their team. And again, I'm not talking about the core pieces. I'm talking about these guys that have been getting minutes because the Raptors roster has been depleted. Outside of Dick, I have not seen that from any other of these pieces that you can consider being a piece going into next season. So that has just been the frustrating part for a Raptors fan. But yeah, it's just how it rolls. But again, well-deserved, or congratulations to Malachi Flynn, 50-point game. Definitely a feel-good story when you consider what he's gone through and how his NBA career has not quite gone the way that he had hoped. So anyways, guys, we're going to end it here. Keep it relatively short. Just wanted to go through some of the latest topics out of Raptors land. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think the Raptors are going to get that 18th consecutive loss and have that new all-time losing streak record? Let me know your thoughts to that. Let me know what you're thinking about Vince Carter going into the Hall, and let me know your reaction to Malachi Flynn dropping 50 and what you were saying to yourself or saying to your friend or whomever when you saw that it went down. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Hit a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. That is it for me. This is Lucas signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.